Welcome to another edition of the Goalpost. I'm your host, Oluwamayowa. I'm not alone. I have Tim Lulua is making a return.
Yeah, I'm doing good and fine. I'm doing good and fine. How about you?
Well, it's been a whole lot. There's a whole lot to talk about. We saw the Champions League, we saw the Europa League last time that you were here on Monday. We're looking forward to the playoffs. And a whole lot happened in those games. I mean, we saw Inter Milan beaten by Bodo Blint again. Um, in that time period, Arsenal bottled the league. I mean, they're almost bottling the league. They decided to throw away a 2-goal lead. But in any case, I don't know. I don't know. What do you make of those? What do you make of those?
So, concerning the Arsenal game, well, like I said on Wednesday, they are butlers. So, I was actually shocked that they lost to Wolverhampton, to be honest with you, because I predicted that they were supposed to win that game, at least even if by corner kick or throwing, you understand. But it was very, very disheartening that they lost. In fact, if you even watch the game, you will know that Wolverhampton, that second half, Wolverhampton came with intentions to win the game, despite the fact that they are in the relegation zone. And imagine us now who are topping the table, they don't even look like they are interested in it anymore. And it is that time of the season when the Arsenal we know start to show up, and they are starting to show up. So it's no surprise.
Okay, so it's no surprise. Okay, but in any case, let's start the show proper. We start from the home scene. There has been talks about Eric Chell wanting to leave Nigeria for Marseille, and according to reports, is um, Eric Chell is asking if the NFF can afford $130,000 every month. Despite being under contract with the Nigerian Football Federation, Eric Chell reportedly submitted a 19-point proposal on January 22nd, 2026, requesting a sharp increase in his monthly earnings. According to reports, the core proposal was a jump from the $50,000 to $130,000 per month, which is meant to cover a child's salary and that of his full technical crew and personal assistant. This, however, contradicts the claim that he asked the NFL for $100,000, and this contradicted that particular claim. However, the NFF has come out to reject the proposal, which triggered the event that linked him to the Marseille job. I mean, this particular news is a bit worrying for me. But if I would ask you, do you think a chair is being greedy here? I mean, you were on a salary of £50,000, $50,000 rather, and now you want to make a jump to £130,000, $130,000. Don't you think HL is being selfish, or is trying to play on the fact that he had a very successful AFCON, and he wants to capitalize on that to be able to strong arm the NFF into giving him much more better offer?
Well, like you said, he wants to capitalize. That's all. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to capitalize on the success. And I'm pretty much sure nobody even expected Nigeria to play well enough like that under him. But we've played well, despite the fact that even though the results we lost, we got knocked out of the AFCON. But at least you could see Nigeria plays interesting football, fantastic football. You understand, with the personnel that they've gotten. So it is inevitable that he would eventually ask for a pay rise. You understand? But I think there's always a point for bargaining. So he has given what he said he wants to get, and now it is left to the NFF to bring him to the table and try to bargain with him. And I can also say that the fact that Marcel were sniffing around him also gave him an impression that, okay, if somebody like I said the other time, if somebody like I said on Wednesday, if somebody like Marcel is paying attention to Eric, which means that he's doing a very good job. So for the fact that somebody like Marcel has come around Eric, you understand, to sniff around, he already knows that, okay, at some point the whole world are watching me, the whole world are seeing what I can do, they know what I can do. I think it's high time that I get paid the rightful amount that he feels. That's the whole idea behind the pay rise.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, definitely because of the performance he was able to put in, you want to say yes, is justified. However, there are reports that Eric Chell changed agent, and one of the things that you notice when somebody wants to make a big move is changing their agent. You know, I think it was Neymar or Ronaldo. I'm not sure. One of them changed their agent, and after they changed, and I think it was Ronaldo, he changed his agent, and the next thing we are seeing, we saw a Ronaldo move from a Manchester United to a Real Madrid. Agents have a way, especially the well-connected agents, they have a way of getting you the deal that you want. Don't you think this move of him signing with another agency is an indication that he actually wants to leave? And also remember, the NFF has come out to say he has a contract with them. He has a 1 year. He has 1 year left on his contract. Despite that, Eric Chell still want to leave.
Like you said, when you want to make a big move, you change agent. So talks of Ole myself was the reason why he decided to change his agent. Maybe the previous agent doesn't know how to broker deals like that or doesn't know how to market. One thing these agents do is they know how to market. They market footballers. So if you're changing your agent, which means that the previous one doesn't really know how to market you well enough, and then you need somebody that has a bigger picture. You understand that the both of you share the same picture and can market you properly. So I guess that's the reason behind the change. And for that change, the new agent is trying to market him well enough. That is why you see he's requesting for a pay rise, because he knows the moment he leaves the Nigeria job, trust me, there are a whole lot of countries lined up that want to take him, because like it or not, Nigeria is a very, very big club when it comes to football in the whole world. And for the fact that Marcel are even sniffing around Eric goes to show you that even club football are monitoring Nigeria national team football as it is. And so despite the fact that we might say, yes, we are fumbling, we are not going to the World Cup, but yet a club like Marcel are interested in our coach. You understand? So he has seen that kind of thing, and then he went to get an agent that would actually sell his image well. So the change of agent is an indicator that he wants a pay rise and he wants new terms that would actually be much more favorable on his side, because he has achieved a little bit of success with the Super Eagles.
But the question is this: I mean, we spoke about on Wednesday. We spoke about Eric Chell, the NFF not being able to meet the obligations at $50,000. Do you think if the NFF agrees to the $100,000 or the $130,000 as reported, do you think the NFF can still be able to meet up that obligation, owing to the fact that this is a federation that owes coaches? All the national team coach are being owed. Do you think it's wise for HL to still want to proceed with trying to strong arm the NFF into agreeing to giving him $130,000?
To be honest, I don't think he will get that. That's just the bitter truth. I don't think he's going to get that, and I don't think the NFF are going to give him that. But I think that is a starting point for his own negotiation, for his angle of negotiation. Yes, and so if he's saying he wants to get 130, he knows that they'll first peg it back to 100. Then from 100 down, you understand? So it is like a negotiating point, starting point for him, you understand? So that is how he sees it. He's partially an African, so we know how to negotiate some of these things. So if he has started low, they might bid it a little bit lower than his expectation. So putting it around 130, I think from the looks of it, they might just settle to like a 65,000 or a 70,000.
Okay, that's fantastic. Moving on, the concluded AFCON had a whole lot of controversy in it, and the former coach of Morocco, and the controversy surrounds Morocco. How we knew how unfair the Morocco were against their opponent. There was a viral video of towel of Nwabali being taken, that of Edouard Mendy of Senegal to happen to be taken, and it happened consistently. The former coach of Morocco, Hervé Renard, has come out to say something about that. He was on a podcast, and he said the former head coach of Morocco has offered his perspective on one of the most unusual subplots of the 2025 African Cup of Nations. the tug of war over goalkeeper Tuchel took the spotlight as Senegal defeated host Morocco 1-0 after extra time at the Abdellah Stadium. Speaking on the podcast, Rene said the controversy in which opponents repeatedly tried to take Senegal goalkeepers Tuchel during the rain-soaked match was deeper than a mere sideline distraction. During the Nigeria semi-final game against Morocco, Ouabali was reportedly distracted as his towel were seized or tossed by the stewards and the ball boy, forcing him to return to the bench multiple times to replace them. The incident went viral on social media, with Ouabali later taunting the Moroccans and fans online. What do you make of this? I mean, Averina has come out that it is beyond normal. Actually, you should not have a host nation do this. Do you think Averina is correct in his assessment based on what he said? And do you think what the Moroccans have done, is fair to football in general?
First and foremost, we need to establish the fact that it doesn't happen anywhere else in football. So I don't think I've watched a tournament where the people on the sidelines are dragging towel with the goalkeeper. I don't seem to fathom the reason behind that, and I don't think that is fair play, because over time the keeper got distracted. Like, they want to take my towel, who is taking my towel? The ball is coming, who is taking my towel? And from time to time the keepers, they need to clean their gloves. You understand? To be able to get better grip of the ball. So the whole idea of taking away the towel is like you're making the keeper an handicap. You understand? Not making him much more as effective as he should be. You understand? So if at all in a game you don't want a goalkeeper to use towel, I think the Morocco goalkeeper should also not have a towel with him. Don't you think? So I think for the fact that they are taking only the opposition's towel says a lot about the intent that they have towards the game. But as football will have it, they say the football gods, you understand, were on the sides of Senegal, despite all of that. Even though Nigeria lost, but then Senegal, at least, despite taking the towel, they got the win. So I don't think things like this should happen going forward in African football, because it doesn't portray us well enough. It was a lot of distraction, because you just could not even understand why 3-4 people are battling over one towel, and then officials, everybody, and it is very, very wrong. And I think it is unfair to the opposing team that they are getting that kind of distraction.
But the question is this. I mean, you saw the fine that CAF handed out to Morocco and also to Senegal. A whole lot of people have come out to say, I mean, the fine that they handed out to Senegal is unfair. I don't believe so. I think Senegal brought the game into disrepute, irrespective of whatever the ref does, and we also irrespective of whatever the ref did in that particular game. And we also saw the fact that Morocco complained about the fine they got. They said the fine they got is too much, that they were not supposed to be fined, and because they had put a whole lot in hosting this particular competition, they shouldn't be punished. Do you think the fine that CAF gave them for unsportsmanly behavior was justified, owing to the fact that Morocco is practically holding CAF hostage at the moment? Majority of the tournament that is being hosted in Africa goes to Morocco because of how prepared they have been. Don't you think this is a leverage for Morocco?
I would say the fine is justified, because you are the host nation. So in all fairness, you shouldn't be doing something like that. So I think the fine is justified. You understand? And I think the issue between them and CAF will be sorted inevitably. But as for the fine, I think it is justified, because you are the host nation. That's just the reason why the fine is as hefty as it is, because you are the host nation. So we all speak for fairness, we all speak for fair game. So getting a fine like that, I don't think they should complain. But I think they are still bitter over the fact that they lost. So that is the reason why they are saying the fine is just too much. If they had won, I'm sure they would have paid the fine long ago. But I don't think the fine is too much for an host nation. So
well, because they didn't win because a Brian Diaz decided to do a panenka. That is the reason why they didn't win. They have themselves to blame for that. However, they have themselves to blame for that. Moving on, we saw the Europa League yesterday. Our own our own Chrysanthos Uche was not part of the Crystal Palace side. And, Chrysanthos Uche has been having a torrid time with Crystal Palace. And the reason why he's not part of that particular team is because the coach decided to let him stay behind. He decided to remove his name from the Conference League list and replaced him with some other players that they signed. Christian Solutions has been dropped from Crystal Palace squad. The Europa League Conference League from the Europa Conference League. The Eagles recently submitted a 24-man squad to UEFA, and the name of the Nigerians is missing. Uche was dropped to make way for new signings of Brennan Johnson, Strad Larsen, and Ivan Gerson. The Nigerian international arrived at Selhurst Park on loan from Spanish club Getafe last summer with an obligation to buy if he starts 10 games. The attacking midfielder is, however, likely to return to Spain at the end of the season, having failed to make an impact with Crystal Palace. Uche has only made 13 appearances in the Premier League, starting once. He also featured in 4 games in the Conference League, scoring just once. Do you think, yes, he has been struggling to live in Crystal Palace. Yes, there is a need for him to impress the coach. I'll give a typical example. We saw in the Nations Cup there was a bright Osai Samuel that played terribly in the first game, and a whole lot of people came for him because of the poor performance. In the second game, the coach stuck with him because he has impressed the coach enough. The coach stuck to him, and now we saw that Bright Osai Samuel played throughout that particular competition. Do you think the coach is justified? Glasner is justified to take out Christophe Uche from the Conference League list because he doesn't believe in him?
Okay, the thing there is, first and foremost, we need to understand that Crystal Palace actually strengthened their front line this January, bringing up Larsen from Wolverhampton and Brennan Johnson from Tottenham. So bringing in those guys actually just made the attacking position much more difficult. Even prior to that time, Christensen wasn't really starting, Uche wasn't really starting. But considering the fact that Ismail Assar is back, they have Yeremi Pino, they have Brian Johnson, they have Strad Larsen, the options are just too much. You understand? So it will take a lot for Uche to break in. And naturally, Uche is a center midfielder at Getafe, but due to a striking issue, you understand, he was deployed as a 9, which he performed. So now he's trapped in a setting that he cannot be thrown back to the center midfield. And in attacking wise at Crystal Palace, there's no option, there's no space for him, let's put it that way. But then it is just down to the manager to ensure that at least, even though, let's be honest with ourselves, Crystal Palace have only 1 win in 15 matches. I think it is fair enough that they shake up their front line, put in somebody like Uche and see what he can do, because you never can see one player can just turn a whole season from bad to good. But I think, like you said, he doesn't really trust him well enough, and we need to also understand that Uche is on loan. They didn't buy him outrightly, and the players that came in January, they bought them outrightly. They bought Brennan Johnson outrightly from Tottenham, I think for £35 million. They bought Strad Larsen too for 50. So they bought them outrightly. These guys are on contract of 4-5 years. So those are the guys that they feel should play, and not somebody that is still on loan with an option to buy. So I guess that is where the problem is with Uche. And for the fact that he didn't play for the Super Eagles, to be honest with you, I was surprised that he didn't make the squad, because he was actually in a very good form back then. And I don't know if that is the reason why maybe his form dipped or thereabouts, but the options at Crystal Palace are just many, and he's struggling to tie down with position.
I think probably maybe the coach is justified. Strad Larsen came in and he has been scoring with reckless abandon. His first appearance for Crystal Palace, he was able to score a goal, and he has scored consistently for them. So I think dropping a Christophe Uche is much more of thinking about the result. The club is bigger than Uche, and the club will be looking at getting results. I think probably maybe that is the reason why. It makes it difficult. So for you, where do you think Uche goes from here? Does he stay in the EPL, or maybe after the loan deal expires, goes back to Spain or looks for another club in the EPL, because it seems as it is now, I don't think it's going to make the 10 games that is mandated for them to be able to trigger the signing clause. I don't think it's going to make it. And if it does not make it, does Uche go back to Spain, or does he stay in the EPL and look for a meetable club for him to be able to play regularly?
You know, I said something on Wednesday about Nigerians wanting to play in the Premier League, so I don't think he's going to go back to the La Liga. Yes, and we also have a second national team in the Premier League, which is Fulham, where our Nigerian brothers are many. So I think maybe after his loan spell at Crystal Palace, there's a possibility he crosses the bridge to the other side of London and joins Fulham. But there is a very high chance that he remains in the Premier League, because the Premier League is always the focus for Nigerian players. But I don't see him going back to Getafe, because to be honest with you, he's actually a quality player, just in the wrong setting. Like I said about Nigerian players making some kind of funny move, but I think this was a very good move for Uche, moving from Getafe to Crystal Palace. But the timing was just not perfect, because currently Crystal Palace are struggling and the coach is just trying to do everything possible to ensure that he wins the game somehow. That is why Uche is not playing. But I see him remaining in the Premier League, and I don't see him going back to Getafe.
That's interesting. Well, I would want to wish him well, because I want our boys to do well in whatever club they are doing. For me personally, I think he has the quality. I think, yes, he has failed to settle down in Crystal Palace, but I think if he makes another, the case of Salah, his first stint in England was terrible. He had to go back, and now he came back as a legend. The same thing for Kevin De Bruyne, the great Kevin De Bruyne, with the assist king of the EPL. The first stint in England was terrible. He had to go back to Germany, and